Creating a Zello to Radio Gateway using a CB radio and a Windows PC by Paul, Mike 0 Whiskey November Uniform, or 26 Charlie Tango 730 if you catch me on 11 metres, and PMR 446.
Hi guys, it's Paul, Mike 0 Whiskey November Uniform, or 26 Charlie Tango 730 if you catch me on 11 metres and PMR 446. Now, I was hoping to start this video on a cheerful note. If you looked at the description of my last video, you'll have seen that during the edit things happened that got me a bit worried that I may have contracted the coronavirus, and also the likely source of where I may have picked it up from. This is the next day from actually editing that video. I have no symptoms, no cough, no fever, no loss of smell or taste, which is actually now in the UK's list officially. So, as far as I'm concerned, it was a false alarm and everything's a-okay. Unfortunately for me, I then discover this morning that my little issue from VK Land, who's been causing me nothing but issues when I basically told them, look, I don't really want to talk to you anymore, they've basically been getting involved in things that do not concern them. Effectively a chat room ban which was issued by someone who is inexplicably afraid of me, and I don't actually know as to why they are afraid of me. They've never ever told me why, they refuse to tell me. Given that I'm not exactly a harmful individual, I don't hold grudges, I do take exception to a certain American young man with an amateur radio licence, as you will well know, because of the way he's treated me. So that's generally the case with that individual. He's not a very nice person, but we shall cover him another day if we have to. But I might have already covered him in a video, but I cover him mainly on my radio communications blog. So we'll get onto the subject of the video, which is connecting a radio. In this case it will be a CB radio, although this is purely for information only, because in some countries it's probably unlawful to actually do that. I'm not sure what the rules are in this country because Ofcom haven't really made that 100% clear in their blurb. I know the old Radio Communications Agency were pretty much like, no, you can't have that. Although they said repeater stations, this isn't technically a repeater. But obviously CB being licence exempt and such like them, I'm not actually sure what the regulations are on that, or doing the same with PMR 446, because I have actually done that in the past when I lived at the old QTH, which is why my Intec DRS 5070 has no finals left, or at least I don't think it does. So this is more for CB purposes. So there's the Zello app. It's available as a desktop program as well. There's two versions of it. The Zello Work, which is the one we're not interested in, and there's a normal desktop version. The normal desktop version does have the option to be put into gateway mode, and you obviously have to set that up with things like serial ports and such like. So one bit of advice would be to maybe use CTCSS to stop unauthorized use. However, most if not all CBs don't actually come with CTCSS, so can't really justify doing that. The CB I'm using for this little experiment is a TTI TCB-550. This was going to be used as a CB gateway for the free radio network when I was at the old QTH, and it's had its speaker removed as a result of that because I glued a fan to the underside. I've since taken that fan off, because at 4 watts I don't think it's going to get too hot anyway. So I do have a circuits diagram in my folder of various things here, which include CB frequencies, the frequency list of an expanded Intec MT 5050 and DRS 5070, although that's not relevant here. I got sets supposed to have them, yeah, that says printout, so that's okay. So I've got the December revision of OF364, which predate December 2006 OF364, predating the change to the law now, which says we're allowed to use AM and SSB on the CPT. So that's actually out of date. So it doesn't say anything about gateways or repeaters then. Just basically, it's all been cut and paste almost from the thing. So if I have a look, I do have a suitable circuit diagram, which is what I'm looking for in this folder. So at the back of here we've got my default stock programming for my BF888, which I will probably need to refer to. I have a section on radio modifications, but the only one in here is for the Midland Basecamp 446, which is a power modification. I'm not going to go over that, that's not the subject of this radio. Radio related circuit, here we go. So I have here 3 circuits. I believe it's 3 circuits. I'll just check the pages. Circuit 3. Yep. 3 circuits. Farham with 2 call signs. He's called Peter. I'm not sure if he's still with us or Simon Key now. I don't know. Call signs are EI4JR or G4KQU. And this is not on the internet anymore, unfortunately. But I'm lucky enough to have this printout, because I printed it out at the time when I actually needed it, because the circuits were of some use to me. Now, there's 3 circuits that can interface radio to computer. First one has isolation transformers in it and an optocoupler. They're not interested in that one. The second one, which is the one we're interested in, it uses a standard NPN type transistor, some resistors. There's an LED in there for indication of TX, and there's a volume control, which is a 1K potentiometer. So I'll scan this in and show you what it is. So it just requires a general NPN transistor as the main part of the circuit, and it connects to a serial port on the computer and the radio PTT ground and mic and ground. Now for a CB that's a little harder to achieve, because if you connect most CBs without an RX line in the microphone lead, the speaker will not turn on. So if you don't plug a microphone into a CB, you'll have no audio. Not all CBs are like that. The President Grant 2 is one of the ones where you can unplug the mic and it should still actually put out some audio. So to accommodate that, have to add a relay to the circuit across some 2 specific points. So basically, the PTT has to pull the relay to swap between the TX and RX. So the moment, so you need a relay with both normally open and normally closed contacts to do that. I use an old on-run relay, which I removed from a dead uninterruptible power supply. I was supposed to have 3 of them, but I can only find 2 of them, so one is in use in that circuit. There is a way of actually putting it across the circuit, but I can't remember how I did it. So I'll have a look at the circuit off camera and see actually how it was done. Because obviously, if you weren't plugging a CB into there, you wouldn't need a relay. Now that interface I've built is wired to plug into my Lexington VV898. I was using it for some APRS experiments with that radio at some time ago. So I've had to build a crude adapter which takes the plug that's fitted and then takes the wiring from that and puts it into the relay. And it works actually quite well. It'll key the radio and dekey the radio as appropriate. Now, it all has to be set up on the computer as well, so I'll pop up on the screen a scan of this printout, because I don't know if you can get this on anywhere anymore, but the author targets it for use for Echolink and EQSO, and he says the component supplier should be Mode Components. I don't know if they're still trading or not. However, any supplier of decent quality components should be fine. There is an electrolytic capacitor in that circuit, so it's a 2.2 microfarad at 50 volts. So if you're going to get those, try and get them from a decent supplier. Don't get them from someone like a cheap Chinese seller, because you might be getting capacitors that are well out of tolerance. So this is alright for use with amateur radio gear as well, because you can interface it to Zello, but you must have an appropriate NOV if you want to do that. If you're in the UK, other countries, check your regulations if you can or can't do that. And you must also ensure that the resulting Zello room that it is in cannot be accessed by anyone who is not licensed. So you've got to make sure that it's all set up that way to make sure that no one unauthorised can get in. With Citizens Band it's not so critical, as the Citizens Band is a licence exempt service. The same would apply to PMR 446. So I'm going to go and scan the relevant circuits here, and then I can pop them on the screen for you. So, and then I'll show you exactly how to set it from the computer side. So I'll see you shortly. So here we've got the TTI TCB-550. This is a non-N version, so it's a little bit better and seems to do the job. We've got in there a adapter circuit that's basically that black relay. I think you can see it. There, yep, the camera light's just come on, so it's this little relay here. What I believe to have done is connect the PTT to one side of the coil, and the other one to the side of the coil, the 12 volt into the radio's own power lead to the other side of the coil, and on the common connector there should be, well, just trying to figure out what's what on this wire because I can't remember. There's a red wire there, so I can't remember how I wired this up, but on the two contacts at the back there's the RX and the TX. So I'm suspecting that I've put the ground on the common connector to tie them to ground, because I think what happens with the CB is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that ground and RX are connected to each other. Then when you press the PTT, the TX is then pulled to ground. But I could be wrong. So it's been a while since I've actually looked at it. So that one's on the same channel. So if I was to key up on the Grant 2, which is into a dummy load, it would come through this radio, and the theory is that it would go into the computer. That's not connected at the moment, but I'll be showing you how to plug that in if you use the non-isolated version of the circuit. So I'm just going to cut to the circuit that I've got. And this is my circuit here. I built this, it's gone through a couple of revisions. You can see the capacitor there, some more capacitors. See all the wiring inside. There's an LED on the top, which I removed from an old computer case many moons ago, and I've connected that in, so that lights up when the unit is in transmit. On the other side of this, just careful, there's a potentiometer. The case is completely ruined because it's been exposed to sunlight. It's an old laundry detergent tablet box, and I just repurposed it for this. So, and I used this, but now if we look inside I can actually see the circuit a bit better. So yeah, the transistor's quite an oversized one for what I need here, but it's a standard generic transistor. It is connected just the battery box for my Midland down there. Not sure how that got there. So it's just connected to there. That's the connection to that, which then pulls it to TX and RX respectively. It's only two connections in there. One of the pins in the ground, I'm not sure which pin it was, and on here, this is the shack computer, and on my very messy desk at the moment. It's not connected to the internet right now, so nothing will happen when I do this. I think I'll need to check the router, or actually the router is fine, the hub in this room is fine. Well, it's not a hub, it's a switch. So you run Zello, I've got that running in gateway mode. So to get it to run in gateway mode, there are some steps you have to take. So I'll show you that as well. And it involves going to parts of the system you wouldn't otherwise go into. It is actually on Zello's website, so we'll cover that in a little while. So this is running in gateway mode, but it won't do just yet. I'm going to go plug the network cable back into the back of this because I think that's come out, and also plug the audio feed in, and I'll show you what's what. Okay, so I've got the computer connected to the internet, so all I now have to do is push sign in. And instead of what you would expect to see on here, you should have just heard the relay click. If you didn't, it did click, I can assure you. It comes up in radio gateway mode instead. So you've got fields here. So you've got the uptime, which is how long it's been running for. The TX settings, which in this case it's going over a COM port, what it's received, what's in the queue, if there is anything in the queue, is a status, and if it's receiving. And on receive, we've got, it's in Vox mode, which it'll go for a list of what it's processing, what the status is, and if it's sending anything. Now, what I can do is I can run Zello on my mobile phone. I've just got to clear off a couple of notifications off the screen. So if I run Zello on my mobile phone, I'll show you that in a minute. And I shall find Zello, there we go, Zello. I'm just waiting for it to load. If I go, okay, so if I go into, right, so now in the Zello room. So I'm not going to show you the name of the Zello room because I don't want everybody going in there. So when I push the circle, which is the PTT, which I've got this is in latching mode, I'll bring you over to the radio and I want you to watch what happens. So there's the TCB-550. I'm now pressing the button on Zello. And as you can see, the radio has now gone into transmit. And you can probably hear me speaking over the headphones plugged into the Grant 2. And I press the button again. The radio goes back into receive. So, I'll turn the mic gain off on the Grant 2 so you can actually hear this. So that's the microphone for the Grant 2, there's my teapot, and there's phone's down there on the seat. I won't show you that actually. So if I key up on the Grant 2, oh, you can hear that. Quite a lot of mains hum on that, but that's because it's all into dummy loads and everything, and it's picking up the hum presumably from that power supply. Both, wherever it is, there we go, both radios are actually connected to that one power supply, which isn't ideal because I don't have another power supply in here at the present time. So there are other, like, ground loop hums can occur as well, but there's a way to hopefully eliminate that. There isn't a ground loop isolator on the interface at present because I don't think it needs it. So let's bring this in. So this is a ground loop isolation transformer. I got this one from Maplin. I've got another one exactly identical which I got from Maplin as well. These I normally have plugged into my mixing desk, but both of them are unplugged at the moment for the purpose of this demonstration. So if you build the PTT circuit that doesn't have the isolation transformers in it, you will need to buy some of these. All they have on them is 2 male phono plugs on one end, and when I can get the other one, my desk is a mess, do apologise about that, and 2, when I bring them in, 2 female phono sockets on the other side, and there's a transformer inside there. So that gets rid of all of the ground loop hums. So all that you're getting on there is like mains derived hum, so unfortunately it's all being picked up because it's all being done over dummy loads and such like, and it's a bit annoying. There's nothing I can do about that right now because I'm not actually on the antenna and I can't put the antenna up yet because the window's been a bit too high for me to do that, and I haven't actually tested the choke on the boomerang antenna. So when I do that, I will be doing another video on running this gateway and showing you how it works. I'll be driving off somewhere not too far away, hopefully if I'm allowed, depending on the current restrictions obviously, and I will be showing you how that works. So the next thing I'm going to do is go over how you actually put Zello into gateway mode in the first place. So I'll have a look on the internet and show you that. Okay, not sure if you can see me well because I'm thinking the light's a bit weird on here. So I've got the Zello instructions up on how you put that into a gateway mode. This works with Windows as far as I can tell. I don't think you can do this with Mac. You might be able to do this with a Linux box and running Zello on Wine, but that just makes it even more complicated. So this is really something that if you don't know a lot about computers, then it's probably best you get someone who knows a little bit more to do for you if you're not that confident. So basically what you've got to do is set the account up, which you'll obviously have done when you've downloaded and started using Zello for the first time. And then you've got to group them all into a Zello gateway group, and then you've got to exit the app. But then you've got to find the Zello configuration file in the computer's local app data file, and it will have an item in it that says set gateway mode, and you change that to true, save the file, and then restart Zello. So we'll go back to what I was saying. So once you set the Zello gateway mode to true, you save the text file that you've changed, then restart Zello, and then you go through all of the configuration within it. I'll put a link to what I've found in Zello's support in the video description below, because it's a little bit on the tricky side for me to actually explain it like this, but I have explained it as best I can. So I'm just going to return back to where I normally sit. So, catch you in a moment. Right, so with a big smile on my face now because I've had a new subscription from Lewis M3HHY of Ringway, Manchester. I really am actually impressed by that because I thought he'd already subscribed long ago. I just have to move my chair and move the camera because the camera's decided it's not going to be where it's supposed to be. There we go. So, like I say, I'll put the description. I put in the description the Zello support website. I'll also put in the description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the printouts from the website I alluded to and from the ham I alluded to earlier. Whose call sign's now eluded me because I don't have that information in front of me. But I'll put those documents up on my personal web space, so if you want to have a look at them. So yeah. So if you want to build a circuit, and this works fine with Zello, it'll work fine with Echolink if you want to do an Echolink gateway. Bear in mind you can't exactly plug a CB into that, so don't do that. Because that would be very naughty indeed. So the interface will work for Echolink, it'll work for the free radio network, You work for things like SSTV, as far as I can tell, but I've not actually ever tried that. That's another experiment I'm going to try at a later date. So, well, my day has been made. So, as I say, it'll all be in the description below, and don't forget, for the CB info and also maybe PMR 446, because this will work with PMR 446 because there's a circuit for handhelds there. Bearing in mind this is actually for information only, and I don't think that it's legal in some countries. I'm not sure. It's a bit of a grey area over here, which is why I actually stopped doing the free radio network. Because obviously I didn't know whether I'd put my own amateur radio license. I was an M6 when I stopped at the time. I put that in jeopardy, but you know, I can actually now run amateur radio stuff with the right NOV, which will be coming up in the future. And again, 7.3s for now. Don't forget, keep yourself safe, watch out for that virus. We all know that virus is still out there. And I thought I had it, but it turns out I don't, so that's the first bit of good news. The second bit of good news is I've had a subscription from Lewis M3HHY, who I've already subscribed to. I'm actually very happy about that. Thanks again, Lewis. You keep yourself safe as well, mate, from that virus. Don't want you getting it. And yeah, so yeah, 7.3s. Keep yourself safe from the virus and look after yourselves and each other. Right, I think I best end the video now because I'm just really happy now that I've got one of the bigger YouTube channels now following me. Right, that's a good step in the right direction. Right, 7.3s for now, guys, and I hope to catch you on the air or some other thing very soon. So, again, stay safe, and I am still again pleased that I don't have the virus. So, more videos to come.
Don't forget, you can subscribe to this channel and ring the bell to be notified of new videos as I upload them. 73 from Paul, Mike 0 Whiskey November Uniform, or 26 Charlie Tango 730 on 11 meters and PMR 446.